Alrighty. Well, I guess we finally got live here. Well, I tell you, Facebook. I hope ain't nobody investing in them because it's a. it, we've been fighting this thing for 15 minutes trying to get logged in.
Sit on your phone.
I'm trying to find it right now, so y'all bear with us. We're trying to bring it up on our phone so we can see it. There we go. There we are.
All right.
So we are live now. All right. Sorry about that. There, we had problems with Facebook allowing us to get on. I don't know what it was. It would not allow me. Wouldn't let me just. We're actually on the basic. We're not using the software this time because it wouldn't connect with us. But anyway, we're going to get started. Welcome to another edition of the Hidden Agenda. Hey there, Penny. First thing I want to talk about before we get in depth with Tim here is I need to bring up. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday or Tuesday. I took a ride with County Commissioner Junior Carter in District 1, School Board member Michael Tate, District 1, and our State Representative Brock Martin for the northern part of the county. There are sections of the county up there, most of you guys may not realize, LES does not service all of Henderson County. They service quite a bit of it. But Henderson County actually has a couple of other service providers. On the, I'm going to say the western side of the county, we've got a Southwest or a NEAS. And what I mean by the services there, ties back into broadband. In the northern part of the county, Carroll County Electric covers pretty much everything. I'm going to say north of I-40 is the best way to look at it. It does drop down to some spots below I-40, but we'll say above I-40. And what's happened is this grant money that was brought down from the federal government, it's being used to get broadband into outlying areas. Well, apparently in the neighborhood that I actually live in up north, we've got, I think, 2 or 3 roads that's not going to receive any service. LexNet can't come up there because it's not their service area, so they can't just come and install up there, so it's no fault of theirs by any means. Carroll County Electric decided not to get into the broadband game, and that leaves Charter, and I'm sure if anybody has much experience with Charter, I don't have a lot of faith in them. They have a history of just grabbing the low-hanging fruit and leaving everybody else behind, and we're kind of in that position right now. So what we were doing was riding up there, getting a house count and the distances and how many houses, trying to get an idea of how many houses in it. But Representative Martin's going to be reaching out to Charter to see, since they're already in the area right now, laying underground conduit for fiber optic. He's going to see if they can, hopefully just go ahead and extend and pick up these other areas that probably, I think we calculated up somewhere around about, I don't know, it's around about 4 miles. And there's somewhere in the neighborhood around about 63 houses, if I remember correctly. But so in other words, that's what's going on right now. We're trying to help the citizens up on the north end of the county to make sure that we can get broadband up there. We've got a lot of children in that market that can certainly use the services as educational needs are changing. But anyway, that's what's going on. I want to catch you up on that. The next thing, I was hoping to get the software program uploaded because I had some videos and some documentations that I wanted to share with you. And what I'll do is tomorrow morning I'll post up I'll make a post about it. There's a major concern that's coming down right now that we're hearing a lot more about, and we're getting phone calls. And it's very time sensitive. August 12th at noon, I remember correctly, I believe it's noon, they cut off voters registration. So if you're not registered by then to vote, you cannot vote. Now, where the problem we're finding lies is with what they call property rights voters. It's people who own property inside of the city of Lexington, but reside outside of Lexington. If you own property in Lexington, you can have a property rights vote. Now, we've shared this here, and we put it out ourselves because we got the information directly from the Election Commission board meeting the other night. And we do have that video, and I will share that specific clip of the video in a post tomorrow. But what happened was, it was stated that if you own property in the city of Lexington, lived outside the city, and you were doing property rights voters, you could not vote in the election if your property was in a trust was in a partnership or was in an LLC. Well, we have shared that, and I think in the last hidden agenda we did. So what's happening here is that's not the case. We've gone back through, we've looked at state law, we've actually gone back to the Secretary of State who actually handles most of the election stuff. We have talked with property owners in that situation who has property rights votes. And we do know of property right voters, people who own land in Lexington and live outside of the city, have been told that they can vote even though they are in a partnership. The only voting that cannot be done for a business that owns land in the city is if it's a corporation, and the reason being is that goes back to the Tennessee Constitution itself. You got to be a real person pretty much. But the LLCs, the partnerships, the trust, if it's in your name, according to everything we found in law, and what we're finding out is that's not the case. So we're going to try to get some clarification for this to you tomorrow, and we'll share the videos and information that we've received so far. But if I can't say this enough, if you own land in Lexington, in the city of Lexington, within its boundaries, but you do not live in the city of Lexington, you can have property right votes. So you can vote. The thing is, you need to get to the election commission before August 12th to get this done. After August 12th, if you show up to the election commission, you're not going to be voting in this election. So if you want to vote, you need to make sure by August 12th, no later than August 12th, that you get to the election commission and get everything set up so you can vote. Why this is just property rights, well, I really needed to show you the video, and we'll get back to it at another point, but we'll get this information up tomorrow in the post for you so you know what's going on. Moving on, we have Alderman Tim Rhodes today. That's joined us on the hidden agenda. Looking forward to this conversation. I guess the first thing we're going to pop up and do is a recap from the board meeting on Monday night. It was pretty much standard fare. There was some changes in zoning, and I know some of that changing was Roy Pruitt Road, Roy Pruitt Lane.
Road, yeah.
Yeah, and just so you guys understand, Roy Pruitt, what's going on down there is if you go down College Drive where the farmhouse cafeteria is down by Jackson State, the new health department's being built down there, and they're also putting in some, is it low-income housing? Mm-hmm. They're adding some low-income housing there. And when the plans were drawn for this thing here, they were going to cut back that road to go back up to Roy Pruitt Road, so you kind of have a drive through there. You're not stuck with coming down. And I'm assuming they're starting to make changes in zoning and whatever needs to happen so that they can get all this stuff adopted as they're bringing in the health department and the housing. Anything you want to elaborate on there?
No, not out there. That's we pretty much covered that.
There was a vote on the bucket truck.
They amended the budget again.
Yeah. So in other words, and where is that money coming from?
I don't know.
Because I looked.
Coming from the taxpayer. What do you mean? What's coming from?
Well, I mean, what account's it coming from? I mean, we got to take it from. I mean, you can't just poof. Here's $20,000.
You know, I don't know that they ever said, did they?
It's not in your packet either.
No, it's not. They just voted to do it. I didn't vote for the original budget, so I wasn't going to vote to amend original budget that I didn't vote for. I wasn't going to add to it. Now I think it's up to, when the mayor presented this, he presented a balanced budget this year for the first time in a while, and there was no property tax increases. There was no pay raises. Of course, when that happened, I knew that wasn't going to go through. But anyway, now they've amended that again, and so now they're $512,000 more than.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But it was never meant to go through anyway.
Yeah. That's kind of what I see, and we're gonna get back on that there. So anyway, what's happening is Public Works is they're buying a bucket truck from LES. One that LES is going to put in surplus, so Public Works is going to end up with that there. And there's something I have to say. Uh, I was Keith Bird is a customer and a friend of mine. He's former sheriff over there in Decatur County. Keith shared with me there's a lot of surplus equipment that's out there that pretty much most of the time you just pay for shipping. You get it to you, and that's pretty much it. Um, instead of spending $20,000, why aren't we looking at possibly if we can find surplus equipment like that there for next to nothing, especially the government. I know, I believe Keith said he dealt with a lot with DOD equipment. Um, hell, man, DOD equipment, I mean, it may not be the prettiest thing, but it's built tough. Military standards are a whole lot higher.
I think they actually used to do that at one time. The assistant chief, he used to do that. Now, what's happened? He passed. He was a good, fine man. I really liked him. I've known him a long time since I was a kid. But if they've done it since then, I don't know anything about it. It's basically, usually we buy something brand new every time. That's what they want used every time, something brand new. But I mean, this was $20,000. That don't sound like that much, but they've already taken the balance budget that was supposed to be, and they dabbled in it, and then they come back and they added to that. So I didn't vote for the first one, and that's just the way I am. If I don't vote for that, if I don't vote for something, I'm not going to vote to fund something out of it later or whatever, or add to it. I'm just not going to do it.
That's yeah. Again, there's question marks why we aren't saving money when we could be saving money. I want to stop here. I've got a question up here. Julie Mills, why do we need a new health department? And I'll answer that there since it's more county stuff. I don't know. It's probably been a couple of years ago. I got calls to go down and take a look at the health department, and the building is dilapidated. I'm just going to say this here. I'll make people angry. I don't care. I have never in my life ever seen government that actually does not do anything as far as preventive maintenance. Everything is reactionary. So we don't take care of what we got. They wait for it to break, and then they spend way too much money doing repair work. I mean, to me, one of the reasons we should have a lot of employees is to do preventive maintenance. But that doesn't happen, and that building was in pretty bad shape. We actually did a walkthrough video of it. I don't know if we've got that on the YouTube page yet. And that's another thing I was going to give you guys is the link to the YouTube page. But that's that's the reason they're doing it. And it kind of the time frame when that came about was the state was offering a grant. So there was grant money out there that allowed, I think the county only had to do was pretty much supply property, the lot that was going to be built on. The rest of it was actually covered by the state grant. So yeah, and there's two sides of a grant. The match in that there was the county had to pay for property and supply the property. So whatever the county paid for the property, that's the match to it. I know some of the stuff that's like Head Start, the new park, the stuff that's coming in the city. They'll get grant money, but there's going to always be a match somewhere. I don't know if I've ever seen 100% grant. LexNet is a prime example. $27 million was the grant.
Yes.
And according to Brad Jones, it's going to end up around about 48, so you're going to be under budget.
Right.
But I think the county, the
And
city,
getting it done quicker. Brad's doing a good job, and Jeff Graves spearheaded it. Jeff done a great job, and it was a terrible thing when the city of Lexington lost Jeff Graves. It was a terrible thing.
I agree with you 110% on that. You're welcome, Julie, and I hope that answered your question there. And if you need to, if you've got any other questions, follow up to that there, shoot me a message after the video. I'll be more than happy to help you out there.
I want to do one thing. I want to tell you who I am.
Well, you know what? There we go.
I want to tell you what my history is. Because this plays into how I think, how I vote, how I feel. I was born here in Lexington. I was born at Congress Clinic. My mom and dad divorced when I was 3 years old. So I love my daddy. I love my mama. I was raised by my mother. So I went to school at Westover for a couple of years, and we left there. And I've been to school in Union City and Martin. But anyway, my mother, I was raised by a single mother on a single woman's income when women didn't get paid as much as men. We lived in a mobile home, 2-bedroom mobile home. I didn't realize it till I got older, but I had the bedroom at the back. That's the big bedroom. You had to walk down a hall to get to my bedroom, and my mother's bedroom was on the right. She had a twin bed. She had a smaller bedroom. But she would take call where she worked. She was a nurse, surgical nurse. She would take call, and I think back then she got $3 a night. Wasn't any such thing as a cell phone, so you had to be by landline in case somebody had a wreck, appendicitis, got shot, whatever. But my mother scraped and sacrificed to make sure I had everything that I needed, and some things that I just wanted. But I've never forgot where I come from. That is me, and that's how I feel. I feel for people when I see them come up there to vote. I mean, when we're voting on something, I feel for these people. I want to hear their story, because it's not like I'm the only person that was ever raised like that. It's not like I'm the only person here right now that's been like that or still is like that. And that's just how I feel about it. Now, I was very fortunate enough to I've had some good jobs, and I had one I worked with about 14 years. It paid me very well out of Memphis. So you just got to keep pushing and everything. But I've never forgot where I come from, the sacrifices my mother made, and how we lived. I mean, that's just how it was. And I feel for these people out there, because I know people live out there every day the same way.
And you're right. And there are some people that's not as fortunate as what you were growing up.
That's exactly right.
And they feel the pressure whenever rates go up. And
I didn't know we were poor. I didn't know that we were poor. It took me till I left home to realize that we were poor. But I had a house full of love, and that's the main thing.
You know what? Wealth is not always measured by a dollar bill.
That's right.
Some people don't understand that. I guess if you've always had it, that's just how you measure. That's your yardstick.
That's right.
Damon Owens, what does the city need with the truck? What does the utility department have that needs this truck? This is going into public works. Now, I will say that where I have seen it, I saw it the other day. They were over by Food Giant, and they had the bucket truck out. And that bucket truck's kind of old. I will tell them. I'll give them that. It's got some age. But the only reasons I'm seeing the bucket truck is, like the Christmas lights and decorations they put up on the poles and stuff. I don't know where else they use it. I mean, I don't know where else public works. And maybe they used it. I think I remember seeing Robbie had worked on street lights, signal lights once before. So maybe they use them for the stop lights, caution lights along the route. I'm assuming that's what they would use it for. That would have to be a question I'd have to get an answer to for you on it. I'll see what I can find out and let you know on it, Damon. Alrighty. Got one more thing we got to talk about in the recap.
All right, let's talk about it.
For those who have not watched the video from Monday night, I highly suggest it. Even if you watch just the last 5 or 10 minutes of the meeting, it was a pretty short meeting. It wasn't a 2 or 3 hour event, so it shouldn't be hard to catch up. But at the end of the meeting, Alderman Roger Lofton had all of the department heads come up to the podium and stand there. And what he did was, I'm going to say it, is political grandstanding. He got up there and apologized to the department heads for the city actually creating social media policies and handcuffing them from being able to defend themselves from people on the board, people in the audience, and people out and people in the public for speaking their minds. And he pretty much stated that he would step up and defend them moving forward. Now, I'm not sure how else to look at this here, but when somebody tells me something, Alderman Sandra Wood got up there and stated, well, I didn't know this was going to happen. Well, if you have to say that there, you know what? I'm going to call BS. I do believe you knew it was going to happen. Um, and when we get down into the conversation tonight and we start learning about the 4-3, think back to this moment and you'll understand where that came about. But, you know, and she got up there and said the same thing. Mayor Griggs also did the same thing. But what it was is there's some finger pointing towards members of the board, towards the public. The very freaking people they represent sitting out there in the audience, and then us out here watching this video.
And the candidates that's running against them.
Yeah, and the candidates that's running against them. To me, if I was a mayor, I would have shut that thing down. No, this is not the time and place for it. And I actually had one citizen tell me, pull the video, and they don't have an audience because they don't have anything that they're doing to share the video, and it doesn't get out any other way other than you sharing it. But you know what? I think you guys need to have full transparency, so the video stands.
Right.
But there was some, I'm going to say it was a veiled threat in there.
It sounded like it. It was trying to be intimidating. You know, that's just how it works. But yeah, there was kind of a veiled threat in there. I took it like that too.
Yeah, that's.
I know they don't like me being up here right now, and I've said this before. Me and you've been friends. We've been friends before you knew I was an alderman.
Yep.
When I used to have an 18-and-a-half-year-old dog I brought up here to get his nails trimmed, and man, you was friends then. That was before you knew I was an alderman.
Yep.
But it's hard to be an alderman when you're friends with James Littell. I'm just telling you. They don't like it. But I do remember at a point in time when they were all trying to be your friend too.
Well, you know what? When they needed support, because what they kind of realized is there's a lot of people that pay attention to this page because they're trying to find out the truth.
They tried to be your friend until you started exposing things and bringing it to the top. And when you did, when you started uncovering things, well, you know, they don't want to be your friend anymore.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't really care.
It is what it is, and I'm the same way. That's just me. I've said this here before, and I'll say it right here again tonight. You know, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick my friends.
That's it. That's it. That's the truth. You know, and while we're kind of in this conversation here, this is something I don't understand. Why it's allowed to happen. I get a lot of people to contact me that will tell me straight up, first thing, I want to remain anonymous. I don't want to be associated with this here at all, but I'm giving you information for you to look into. And the reason they do that there is because they have a fear of retaliation.
Absolutely.
And I saw that in that grandstanding the other night that was pretty much sending a message of fear of retaliation. And I'll say this here, Alderman Roger Lofton, 76 South Main Street, doors open, come on down. We can sit here and have a conversation. But I'm going to exercise my right to free speech. And as law enforcement and as someone who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution, I certainly hope you have enough common sense to say, you know what, I need to protect people's free speech as well. Now, if you want to have a conversation, you know where I'm at. I don't hide from nowhere, and I show up to the meetings you guys have. You know, that's this intimidation crap and threatening people with their jobs if they have a right to speak. You know what? This is not freedom. This is not what America's about. And I'm sorry, but I won't stand down to it. There's nobody that scares me.
And you know, last year I got a message from somebody who works for the city. It was during this. It was during the 74-cent debacle, and they sent me a message and said, "Are y'all?" They were talking about, I guess, the three of us or whatever. The three would be. I'll go ahead and tell you the three right now. The three is Gordon Wildridge, Jimmy White, and me. We are the three. So now you know who the four are. But I got a message. We've been told that you're wanting to lay us off. I replied back, that's never been in the conversation about laying you off, and who told you that? Well, they said, they wouldn't say who, but they just said, well, another alderman said that, you know, y'all were threatening to lay us off, and we needed to be at the board meeting, and And, you know, y'all gonna cut everything out from under us. And I said, well, that's simply not true. When I pulled up at that meeting that night, I've never seen so many city vehicles in my life. I didn't know if the place was on fire or flooding or out of electricity or what it was. But then when I walked inside, the first 2 or 3 rows was all city employees.
Yeah.
In the back was elderly people that was having to stand up. They come to that meeting too because everybody was scared to death of this 74-cent thing. The elderly people were having to stand up back there in the room. They were standing room only, and I believe it was it Chip that said he had to stand back there in the break room?
Patrick Cherry.
Patrick, okay, I knew it was one of them that had to be back there in the break room. I mean, there was just standing room only, but they had brought, I reckon, all the city employees. The one that sent me the message said that, you know, they were told to be there. It was kind of like, you should come. It wasn't like you should come. It was like, be there. So they did. They showed up in force because they were afraid they were going to lose their jobs. And I made the statement right there, right then, that I know a lot of y'all have been told that, you know, we're fixing to lay you off. We're going to take everything away from you. And I said, I know you've been told by somebody here, but that's simply not true. So if somebody told you that, well, then they told you a story. But that was another form of intimidation right there to get them there.
Right.
And I
To
think,
intimidate the public.
yep. So anyway, that's just how they do. I mean, I've learned so much. I've been on this board for 8 years now. And when you start out on this board, naturally you reach out to somebody to kind of show you the ropes, because nobody's going to walk in there knowing exactly what they're going to do. You don't. I had attended the meeting for several months before I became an alderman, and you know, I want to say, number one, could I do it? Number two, did I want to do it? But you still don't know exactly how it works until you get in there. So there's going to be people, and for anybody that's running right now, should you win a seat or whatever, there's going to be people that's going to reach out to you. You just make sure you know whose hand you're taking.
That's it. That's it. Now, you know, and I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to carry on a little bit deeper than with where Tim was going with this 4-3 thing. You know, I'm not afraid to name them. Roger Lofton, Sandra Wood, Gabe Williams, Fred Ellis. Those are the 4. Gordon, Jimmy, and Tim are your 3. If you go back and you look at it here, and you really need to pay attention to voting, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is one thing that I have harped with you guys a million times, to pay attention. Because it's not all about the vote. You know, they're up here talking about the voting records. You know, it's not all about the votes. It's you need to hear the conversation, because I'm going to tell you right now, that grandstanding the other night was no voting. That was just getting up there and trying to do a form of intimidation. You can watch facial features. You can see the voice. I was actually had a little video clip that I wanted to show you from this past budget cycle, and I'll explain it to you. But you can tell things by how people react. So when you look at a vote, it's not always about what the vote is. The conversation is where you really dig in and you find the meat and the bones to what's going on to this thing here. And the example that I was going to use tonight for a couple of reasons was at the budget, the second budget reading. Now, what happened was Tim had made a motion to accept the mayor's original budget that he presented in May at the regular board meeting, which had no property tax increases, no additional spending. It was a balanced budget, no raises. That was it. It was just a straight up budget. And we're going to come back to that there in comparison to the mayor's last year's budget. When it got in there, they had already had a discussion when all that happened and during that time frame, and trying to figure out things and spending money here and there. All right, but that's what the vote was they were going to take the $147,000 out of paving. That was stated in the meeting. The video is on our YouTube channel. We live streamed it. There's no editing. That is exactly what was said in that meeting. That's the reason we live stream everything. So when you get there and you look at that, when we came back around to the actual voting, to the second reading of it. Tim made the motion to accept the mayor's original budget with no fluff in it, just a straight up no tax increases, no nothing. We're just going to continue to operate as we are.
Balanced budget.
Balanced budget. Well, Roger Lofton pushed. He made an amendment to Tim's to make the change. And the only thing, if you listen to this video, and again, I have it, I'll get another post up about this and continue to try to work this system where you can see this video. Roger Lofton. No, I want to get it where this here. So the employees are getting another 2.5% raise again this year. Just in case, if you don't know. We've got the video of all of this here happening. The only thing that was taken out of that budget was the grappling truck or grappling hook truck that they were going to order. That was it. Everything else stayed when the motion was made. And when that motion is made, whatever it states is what it is. Second, and they vote, and that's what it is. So when they tell you up there the 147 is not there, it never got removed. It was never taken away. You look back at the first video and you look at the second video, you can tell it was never taken away. So if they're telling you that it has been, well, guess what? Then that means they changed the budget or they changed the numbers from what the alderman actually voted on. And that is a serious problem because the only way that can be done is through an amendment, a budget amendment that the alderman have to approve. So right now, when you listen to that, when that vote came around, they have to vote on the amended. So when Roger made his amendment, they had to vote on that there first. And if his amendment passed, which it did, then they would actually vote on the budget. And this is where I'm telling you, you got to really pay attention. When the vote went around, I don't know if it's first or second. When it came to Fred Ellis, pass. In a low voice, he said, pass. What that allowed him to do was to see how the other three was going to vote. And then when it came around to him, yes. You can hear his voice lowered. This is what you have got to pay attention to. Because when you hear these things, you know what's going on. You can see that, well, you know what, I don't know if I want to,
He was waiting to see how the rest of them voted.
Waiting to see how the rest of them was. And he didn't want to look like he was voting for another pay raise, but that's exactly what he did.
And then you go again, 4-3.
4-3.
4-3.
And then when it finally came around, they had to vote on the amended budget, and that's where it got passed. And at that point, Fred's like, yeah, because people think he's just voting on a budget. They don't know the difference. They're not paying attention. So that's where this stuff lies into. Here, I got something up here. Okay. But so in other words, this is where I try to harp with you guys to pay attention to things. What happens in these meetings is extremely important. It's not just how the vote goes. And a lot of times in the video, you can't hear things, you can't see things. You can't hear the little sidebar conversations that's going on, and trust me, all that stuff happens. Hell, I know that there's conversations that happen before these meetings
Before they happen.
Before the meetings ever take place.
Yes.
Most of this stuff is predetermined. Going back, like I said the other night, when Roger Lofton got up there and started grandstanding, and he's going to defend the department heads, and Sandra's like, well, I didn't even know he was going to do that. Well, when you said that there, you pretty much just told me that you knew that was coming. And that's because there's conversations. Those four have their conversations, and they kind of predetermine how things are going to be before they get there. I want to go back to last June, I believe it was. We had lunch over in Jackson. For those who don't know, Tim's wife has got some medical conditions, and he's had to get a handicap van. And April and I decided one day that he was going over there to get work done on his van, so we closed up early so we could go over there and have lunch with him. And so he wasn't sitting in a showroom for hours waiting. Well, when that happened, we were just got finished lunch and done some shopping, and we were heading back up to the van place. And I get a phone call.
God's honest truth.
from an alderman. And this alderman had received a phone call from a police officer, LPD officer. And when they received this phone call, made the comment to me, if I get busted with drugs in my truck, it's not me.
And he told all his family, friends, and co-workers, he said.
An alderman was being strong-armed. That's a bad, bad thing. Now, I don't know if this alderman's got enough, I don't want to say the words I want to say here, but enough manhood to step up and tell the truth about it. But I just happened to have him on Bluetooth because he called, and Tim's in the truck
I was
with
just
me.
sitting in the back seat listening.
And this conversation's going on. And as an alderman, that should never have happened. He should never have felt, and the conversation was, if you got my back, I got your back. And he felt threatened by that. And an alderman should never feel threatened. Never. Especially by law enforcement. So, and this is something I've never brought out. We're here, we're just being candid and having a conversation and explaining how things work around here. And that was one of the things that it just so happened that when that phone call came in, we were actually together on it. But yeah, there's issues there. It just blows my mind.
And I want to say something else here that people don't understand, and they continually asking, who's my alderman? They continually asking, who's my alderman? Well, you got 7 aldermen. You don't have just one. I don't care if you live on wherever you live. You have 7 aldermen. You don't have one alderman. These positions, that was before I got there that they named these positions, but it's not like we're in a district or anything else. If you can't get one alderman that's willing to try to help you, you got 6 others you can try to help you. So that you have 7 different aldermen, and that's what people have never quite understood. And they want to, who's my alderman? Well, we all are your alderman, and you need to know that. And when somebody comments and says, vote them all out, no, you need to look at who's working for you, who's been voting for you, trying to take care of you. And you need to look at the other ones and see how they've been voting. Who's raising your rates? Who's real comfortable with raising those rates? Water rate was raised a year and a half ago. Now the water rate's been raised again, and your sewer and your gas has been raised again. And like I said, these people, they're living from week to week, from paycheck to paycheck. That's not easy. I don't know how some of them doing it, because actually when my mother died, and my mother had remarried when I got about 19 or 20, thank goodness she married a good man who took good care of her, and I was very thankful for him. I took care of them for the last 5 years of their life. But if not, my mother drew a Social Security check of $680 a month. Now you tell me, how would she have paid for her electricity, gas, water, sewer, her supplement, her Medicare supplement, her doctor bills, all her utilities, her groceries? How do you make that on $680 a month? And there's a little lady that comes up there right now. She comes several meetings. I won't call her by name, although I don't think she would care if I call her by name, but everybody knows who she is. But she comes up there and tells an identical story to what I'm saying right here. I believe that woman.
I do.
I believe that woman from in the bottom of my heart. I believe that she's having trouble making it from week to week or month to month. I have no doubt in my mind about it, and I believe it.
There's and I've talked about it a couple times in the past. Let me pull it up right quick. It's a dashboard that's on the state of Tennessee provides it, and this has been used in local campaigns in the county. So I'm going to go ahead and say that it's pretty safe to use, since they've already, if they can use it to campaign with, they can certainly use it to. We can certainly use it the same way to share information with you. Okay, right now, Henderson County, and this is, we are in a transitional, there's 5 different economic statuses for county: distressed, at-risk, transitional, competitive, and attainment. Now we're at 16.8% for 2026 is what it's forecast. So if we go back in here, 2025, let's see here where Henderson County was in 2025. We were at transitional then, but we were at 18% poverty rate. Now let me just give you some basic math. 18% of, we're going to say 28,000 even residents in this county. That is 5,600 people. That is almost the population of Lexington. Lexington's around about 78.
That's right.
So almost 3/4 of the population of Lexington, if we looked at this, is at or below poverty level. That's how many people are in our county are at or below poverty level. Now, and if the forecast, hopefully it does, we do drop it down some, but people, we just can't keep pushing people over that edge and pushing them over that brink of, they're teetering on the line of being being below poverty. We can't keep pushing them.
Can't keep doing it.
I mean, bottom line is, and what's happening here is the majority of spending in the county and in the city, the majority of it has been in giving raises. I get it. Everybody needs to get a raise. What's going on in the city is just freaking stupid raises.
A cumulative 23%.
Now that doesn't include the 2.5% that came in this year.
Does it not?
I don't think it does.
I was thinking it did.
It did? Okay. Maybe it does.
I think it's actually 23.1, something like that.
Okay. But that's crazy.
You know any industry around here that's got that?
Heck no.
Me either.
Never saw it when I was in the government.
Me either. I went the best paying job I ever had. The way I said something to a boss about it one time, and I was running a route, and I was very physical, hard, demanding route, but I was also a sales routeman. And I asked him, I said, man, I need a raise. And he said, make you raise. I said, how to do that? And he said, sell more. That was it. That was it. There wasn't no across the board raises.
The truth's the truth. Oh, hold on a second here. All right, I just saw this. I had to approve a post. We got an alderman that's chipped in here. We're going to come back in here just for 1 second here. I'm actually looking up something because there's something else that I want to share with you. Now, there's the Bureau of Justice, a couple of law enforcement, federal law enforcement and national law enforcement organizations that will come through and they gather statistics on and data from law enforcement agencies, and they compile a list. And what we found was, I shared this with you a while back, 2.5 officers per 1,000 residents is what the average is. So we're going to get in here and talk about this here for just a second. So we got 8,000 people. We're going to round it up and give it 8,000 times 2.5. That would be 20 officers. Now, Alderman Fred Ellis shared yesterday on his page was right now Lexington has 31 commissioned officers, so we're 11 over. And he says of those five are funded by state or federal grants, and the remaining 26 are funded by the city's general fund. But still, we're 11 over what the average is. And matter of fact, there was another link in there that I had found that says I think we really need to be around 16. I think is what and this was based on it was based on where how leadership would be established within it. But he comes in here and he talks about this here. And he talks about grant money, and this is one of the things, grant money I'm a little bit leery on. I catch a lot of grief in it, and I understand that if we don't apply and accept a grant, somebody else is going to get it. That's just the bottom line. But grant money, they don't pick it off the grant tree back there in the Federal Reserve nowhere. No. That comes out of your pocket. So,
And
again,
I may be wrong on this, but I'm thinking that 3 of those policemen, I may be wrong. It was on a grant where it was 50-50
50-50.
for so many years.
I think it was either 3 or 5. I think it was 5.
I think it was 5 years. It was 50-50. So actually, you're picking up that
You're gonna be picking up another 50% of that side.
So, and then after 5 years, it's all your baby.
Yeah, you got to pay for the whole thing. Yeah, I believe we've got a video of that there. Just have to go back and find it. But see, this here is when you start getting things and you start looking at it. You know, we're top heavy in employment. Is this to say to go out there and fire everybody? No. What this is to say is you can't afford to keep giving damn raises because we got too many employees. Now, I'm going to say this here, and I'll probably catch some slack over, but oh well, I get over it. If you ain't hitting a lick at your job, your ass needs to be gone. I'll just say it plain as day. Again, this was before I really ever got into any politics, long before that there. Now, at this point, Tim and I knew he was an alderman, but I really wasn't getting into any politics. You brought Chesney up here one day to get his nails clipped. This was on a Saturday because that's when he would come in. And he brings Chesney up here, and there's 5 guys on a Saturday, so you know they're in there making time and a half, pressure washing the crosswalks over there between us and the courthouse and Carnell Roberts. But they were... One guy was running the pressure washer, another guy was holding the hose, and 3 guys were actually leaning against the insurance building over there on their phones. You gonna tell you what? If I would have seen that there as supervisor, I would have sent somebody home. You go home, you think about whether you want this job or not. You do that crap again, you're gone. Simple as that. But that's not what happens here. What happens here is there's just so many people that have... I don't know how to say this here. It's the buddy system.
You know, I called for a hiring freeze last year. I think the city had 200 people. That's what we were told. They had 200 people. At that time, I talked to Fred because he was pushing the cemetery deal, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you on the cemetery thing, and try to get it through and everything. And I mentioned, you know, I'd like to have a hiring freeze. I think we need a hiring freeze. I got chastised by the mayor because I said we need to cut the fat. Well, he wasn't at that meeting. The next meeting when he come to, man, he said cut the fat, you know, I don't know, 10 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting chastised. I was getting chastised for it. But let me tell you what, we still need to cut the fat. And that's just the way it is. But, you know, so I proposed this hiring freeze. Well, I sit there and I had a detailed discussion with 3 of the department heads right there in that meeting. And so I called for a vote. 3 yes, 3 no. Right across the table from me, Fred says no, because he wants to talk to the department heads. You have just heard me talking to the department heads. Do you think you're going to go to them and they're going to say, oh yeah, we need a hiring freeze? No, that's not going to happen.
Nope.
If you went to them and said, do you need 10 more people? They'd be, oh yeah, we take 10 more people. But then I don't know how many people we got now. Wouldn't even take a wild stab at it. But you know, just something like that right there. You have got to trim the fat. That's just what you got to do. I have been told so many things up there. You know, I was told one time I didn't play by the rules. I said,
Well, you didn't get your rubber yes stamp out?
no, I didn't play by the rules. And I'm like, you know what? My mama could have told you that 40 years ago. Lord have mercy. I said, if she was alive today, she'd tell you that. No, I didn't play by the rules. I've got a mind of my own, and I try to do the best of my ability to do what I think is right. I was elected by the citizens. I was elected by the taxpayer, which goes back to one night when somebody tried to shut me down, and I think he was probably there when they was trying to tell me to hush.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another alderman's trying to tell me to hush. I said, you can't make me hush. You didn't hire me. You can't fire me. You can't eat me. I was elected by the taxpayers.
I don't know, you are a mushroom.
I'm a mushroom. Hey, and this is another thing. But it's like I was elected by the taxpayers to try to take care of the taxpayers. And that's what I take that seriously.
You know, and that's it. That's
And as far as my t-shirt that I've got on, don't know if you can see it, but I made the statement one night that some of us aldermen, us three, basically were kept like mushrooms.
yep.
And what I meant by that was that the other ones already knew what's going on before we get to the meeting. And then when we get to the meeting, it's sprung on us.
Yep.
So we've got like 5 minutes to make up our mind. What are we going to do? So I said, you're treating some of us like mushrooms. Well, somebody wanted to know what I meant by that. And I said, well, the old saying goes, you feed a mushroom full of crap, and you stick him in the dark in the back room, which is where we're at, in the dark room. So a friend got me this shirt right here with a mushroom, says, I'm a fun guy. That's me.
Who was the friend? Alrighty. I know we've got let me see here. Not really seeing much county. You know, Damon, you make a really, really good point. If you pay attention to you pay attention to the voting, but you also pay attention to the conversation. And then if you want to know, you know, I won't tell anybody who to vote for. I get people asking me all the time. I won't do that. That is that's your right. And I think you need to make that choice based on what is best for you. You know, and that's all that matters is what you think is going to be the best candidate for you. That's who you need to vote for. What I will do is I will show you things. I will point out things, and I will show you what's going on. I'll tell you the simplest thing to do here, because I get somebody asking me all the time. How do I vote? Go back in and look at all these candidates' pages and see what they say about the things that affect you. See where and when you know that there, and you can see, based on how things are kind of written up, if you see they're doing things that you don't like, then that's not the candidate for you to vote for. You know, I get so sick and tired of hearing about, oh, they're a nice guy, they're a great person, they come from a great family, they do a lot of volunteer service. You know what? That does not mean that they're going to be a good representative for you. That's the stuff that they want to do. It's not about you, it's about them. You have to look at what the candidates can do to provide information, can not provide information, but to represent you and what you need as a citizen and what services you're needing from this city, all that stuff. You know, I get so tired of, you want your toilet to flush? You know what? That's such a childish and mundane statement. No, I don't hire somebody to flush my toilet because I want my toilet to flush. Yes, obviously that's part of the service, but it doesn't mean I got to pay somebody $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year to make sure my toilet flushes.
Right. And then I assume you was probably at one of these last meetings where one of the aldermen said we need to make it where that everybody in the city makes the same.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, look, hold on. You are paid by your trade or what you're capable of doing, and you're paid on the job you hired in on. So if you're whatever, if you're mowing or you're, you know, if you're shooting at weeds, you're spraying the weeds or whatever, you're not going to make the same thing that this man's making when he's out there on a light pole after a storm or during a storm and your power's out. You just can't, everybody's not going to make the same. Good Lord, what kind of taxes would we have if you paid everybody the same?
Well, now if we're going to be shooting straight here, I'm going to say we're going to be shooting straight.
Shoot, right.
There's a beef between an alderman and LES. I'm just going to call it straight on out there. And this beef has been going on for a long time. I have bits and pieces of information, but I'm talking about back to when there used to be a utility board, and that alderman, before being an alderman, was actually on the utility board. But there's some issues there. And again, if you pay attention and you listen to the conversation, you can hear these issues. I do believe that that's part of the reason that we actually lost Jeff Graves.
It definitely is.
You know, when you're constantly under scrutiny about things, but I'm going to say this here. LES is a different entity than everything else. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, linemen, if you guys are not aware, these guys, gosh almighty, to be a journeyman, I don't know, they got to put probably 4 or 5 years in.
I don't know. They have to do an apprenticeship, a journeyman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to reach to a certain level.
You just don't go up there and hire in and become a lineman. You just don't do that.
And I mean, as Tim said, I mean, you're sitting up in a bucket truck in the middle of a storm trying to get somebody's light back on. Yeah, that guy is worth a crap load of money. Now, the guy over here that's digging a ditch on an average day, no, he don't need to be even, he's not even in comparison. We don't look at, we have to stop looking at it just because one department's making more than the other. And I got some news for you guys. LES is a different beast because their rates is not set by the city board. Their rates are set by TVA. TVA audits them separately. They are a completely different entity. So if we're trying to keep up with that, that's just crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. So, you know, when you hear stuff about that, that's what's going on, is they're trying to get so everybody's getting paid the same as what LES is, and it's just not going to happen. It's costing you and I to try to take and pay for these aldermen to try to get these damn money up there for these people, and it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We're caught in a bad spot where 4 people, and that's what it takes, is a majority vote, is 4 people.
And they got it.
Who are spending our money hand over fist. I want to go back to last budget, the 74-cent property tax budget.
Okay.
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Hope you guys don't mind. Get my thing caught up a little bit here. Last year, when the 74-cent, and I've got the video from this here, and actually I have it on our YouTube channel now, finally. It's tax space payer at taxpayer-u4, the number 4, T. So taxpayer at taxpayer-4UT. That is our YouTube channel. Feel free to go up there and watch any of these videos. You don't have to believe me. Watch the videos and you'll see it for yourself. In that meeting, as the 74-cent sales pitch is being brought out to us, we are getting this, gosh almighty, this apocalyptic painting drawn of how bad Lexington is and how it is going to fall apart. We're going to just crumble to pieces if we don't get this 74-cent. Oh, we got to worry the state's going to come down here and take over Lexington. I ain't never seen fear-mongering so damn bad in all my life.
Our bond rating's going to go down. Our credit rating's going to go down. You know, we got to have it.
Got to have it.
And then you have one alderman say, well, that's really not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was saying that wasn't enough.
Gabe said it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. And if you can't afford to pay the taxes on your house, well, then you need to sell your house and rent.
Yeah. Again, somebody...
Is that not the American dream, to own your own home?
I saw somewhere today somebody talked about, a question was asked how they were dealing with the cost of living, and they're like, you know, I'm making it day to day. I'm not trying to set anything back. That dream's long gone. And you're right. That's a big problem. We got any more questions? Because my phone is falling backwards. But this picture was painted of just how bad things were in the city of Lexington and why we had to have that 74-cent property tax. It was even stated that we're going to be here next year. If we don't get it this year, we're going to be here next year getting tax money. We're going to have it. Got to have it. We ain't gonna survive without it. We're gonna die. Town gonna go away. Here we are in May, and the mayor up here who presented the 74 cent to begin with is now not even asking for any kind of freaking tax increase. Dude, just 365 days ago, it wasn't even that long, but we're going to just say 365 days ago, you told us about, boy, Lexington's going to fall on the crater. We're going to be in bad shape. It's going to cease to exist. And now,
And we wound up with a little surplus.
that's right, with
Yeah,
surplus
but now
on a 17-cent increase.
They didn't let that stand.
Oh no, they had to spend that
They
money.
didn't let that stand because this year when he laid that out, which was, it's political just like I do because he's going to run for alderman. So they wouldn't let that stand. They let it stand till the next meeting, and they started digging in right then.
Yep.
Started digging in, tearing apart. Of course, I'm sure they knew what they was going to do ahead of time. I realized what they was going to do ahead of time, and I wasn't even privy to the party.
That's it's absolutely crazy, but this is I can't stress, and again, this is part of the paying attention. Go back in. I've got the video from last year. Listen to what your mayor was preaching to you. Now this man is running as an alderman.
Don't let nobody reinvent themselves. The mayor presents the budget every year.
That's it.
So the budget suddenly changed this year. So,
And I'll call it, nobody else wants to call it. This is an election year, and the mayor's trying to take and switch to become an alderman. So he didn't want to say anything about taxes.
trying to keep that forward.
You got to keep that 4 in there. And you want me to tell you what happens there? Next year, there ain't no election. Oh, yeah, we can talk about our 74-cent tax increase again. And if we've got 4, guess what happens?
You're going to get it.
We're going to get it.
Better keep your eyes open. You better watch out because if they maintain the majority, heaven help you is all I can tell you. Because 3 people can't stop them. 3 people can't stop them.
And I'm gonna come on it. We're gonna dig in a little bit more. We're kind of having a very open, candid conversation. This is kind of I'm enjoying this. This is kind of what I've been wanting.
Something else I was told, and I think this needs to be brought out right here. I'm going to bring this out because I was told this. I said I've been there for 8 years. Have I made any mistakes? Guarantee you I have. Have I? But if I try to do a lot more. I learn from a mistake. So if I've made a mistake in the past, I'm sure going to be trying to rectify it in the future. And you got it. But I was told at the very beginning of my tenure, don't worry about how you vote because the voters will forget it in a year.
That's it. That's what they
Don't
figured.
forget it in a year. Do not forget it in a year. Remember what's been going on. They say if you haven't, don't worry about how you vote. You voters, forget it in a year.
And you know what? And it's not just in the city. All
No.
politicians think that way. They think that you guys, I'm going to say it right here, they think that you're stupid and that they can play you, and that's what they've been doing for the longest time and they continue to do. And they're not going to stop. It's just the way it is. But I'm going to tell you right now something else, too, in case you guys did not pay attention to. The city's got a history of hiring out firms, engineers, whatever. They'll go out here and hire a group to do a study or a survey or something. And I'm going to give you a prime example. The salary survey, most of y'all know about the salary survey. Where they're up here, they're comparing us to Nashville, Memphis,
Knoxville,
Jackson.
Chattanooga, Jackson, Memphis.
Yeah, Dixon.
Madison County.
Yeah, we're not compared to them.
No.
But that's what that salary did because, and the only reason that happens is somebody says, compare us to larger markets. Because if anybody who does this for a living, they would have enough common sense not to take and try to compare you to somebody you're not like. But that's what happened here. The recent rate increase that we've had, and we're going to get back to the, we got to go back to that as well. The recent utility rate increase we had, in case you guys weren't paying attention, in that meeting, it was stated that this here this utility rate increase we got was for a couple of years. They're going to come back in a couple of years and they're going to tell us, You guys need to raise your rates again. It was all in a meeting, all live video for you to see. You're going to get more rate increases with utilities. And you want me to tell you, if you go on the City of Lexington's Facebook website, and I'll share this tomorrow, the 5-year plan is finally shared by Lexington Utilities. And what I would like for you guys to do is just go on the page, and you can look up under Lexington Utilities, and you'll find it in there. Let's see here. In the gas department, they're budgeting $145,000 per year, except for the last year at $150,000. But we're going to say they're budgeting in the 5-year $145,000 per year for vehicles. We got to keep people in new vehicles. And let's see here. Get into water and filtration department. Okay, water and filtration. They've got 60,000 for this year, and then they're doing a 145, 150, 155, and 60. So right there, we're looking somewhere around about 120, 420, 520, around about $575,000 in the next year they're going to be spending on vehicles. And that's in the water and filtration department. In the gas department, 150 times 4 is going to be 600,000. So we're well over $1 million right now in the next 5 years in vehicles. And let's get down here to, well, I'll be. The wastewater treatment plant's not buying any vehicles. Oh. No, it's actually hidden under machinery and equipment. It says vehicles and boat for the wastewater pond. So there are some money. So we don't know how much is going to be where. But there's going to be money spent there. So bottom line is, they're going to spend more money. This election, I can't stress enough for you guys, is going to be one of the most important elections that you're going to vote in. Because that apocalyptic scene that was painted by the mayor, the spending is pushing us towards that scene. It's out of hand. It's out of control.
Think of the other things where money's been wasted. $1 million shredder. $1 million shredder. I went out there, I watched it. That's a cool little toy. It will chew up a light pole in a heartbeat, but they don't chew them up and make mulch out of them. They sell them. I mean, but it's a cool little toy. I get that. But $1 million. Well, then the next month they trying to vote to get a bond pay for the thing. And then it wasn't but just a few months, it caught on fire.
Yeah, I remember sending you pictures of it.
Yeah, caught on fire. But thankfully, out at that end, we had some fire trucks went out there and had it out in 7.5 minutes. That was the same time that they were wanting to spend $800,000 on a new pumper.
Yep.
And why did they want a new pumper? Because I asked, how many pumpers do you have? That's what's kind of hard to answer. Why? Well, theoretically, everything from a brush truck up to ladder 1 is a pumper. I said, so you got 5?
How many stations we got? 3.
So, but anyway, we didn't need that new pumper to put out that new $1 million shredder. And the only reason I was wanting to get that new pumper was because the emissions might change. And most fire departments are exempt from that anyway.
What emissions are going to change? Are they going to have a new type of DEF fluid or something?
I don't know, but just silly little stuff like that right there. After this, I gotta go back. It reminds me of, after all that, I got a private message from Lynn Murphy, a good man.
Yes, he was.
I got a private message from him. He said, I'd like for you to call me. He gave me his number. So I called him. And he told me, he said, Tim, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate it. I just want to tell you how much I appreciated your stand you took last night. He said, because, you know what? He said, in the county, we hadn't had a raise in 3 years. He said, we haven't had a raise in 3 years, but you know what we do the next morning? We get up and we go to work. And And, you know, I didn't really know what to say to him. He said, we don't expect a raise every year. He said, it's nice, it's gravy when you get one, but we don't expect a raise every year. He said, your guys demand it every year. He said, you've got one that works in the city. He said, he's got a lot lower rank than I do. He said, he works for me sometime part-time. And he said, he makes more money than I do, and I'm the chief.
That's the problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, if y'all guys didn't know Lynn Murphy, you missed a good one. I mean, he was a really good one. I mean, that man worked. I mean, pretty much every call, Lynn was rolling. He cared about what he did. He cared about his community. He was. Rest in peace. He was a good one.
He was.
But Lynn told me something one time, and this goes back to the retaliation thing. He said, I'm looking forward to retirement for one reason. I'm like, well, what's that? He said, freedom of speech.
Ain't that something?
That is something. Somebody who gave his life of service that couldn't freely talk about the problems because they had to fear for their job. You know, how are we taking care of the good ones when they have to deal with that stuff? I'm going to go back here, something Candy Davis brought up. Last year was supposedly so bad, the mayor said the museum funding was going to have to be cut without the tax increase. I don't know if you guys remember this here, because the mayor got up there and told us about how dilapidated and fallen in. We got flooding in the basement of the museum. Well, I called Diane Berriman. I asked her, I said, Diane, do you mind if I come up there and take a look in video? Sure, come on. And I walked through that whole thing. And I'm going to tell you, got down in the basement, and there was a little bit of water in what they call a sump. At the bottom of that thing, and the floor is made of concrete, they cut a sump up. They cut a sump in, and they'll put a little pump down there to pump the water out. And the reason being is because basements are they seep water. They catch some water in here. There was no standing water down there. The concrete was not wet anywhere. There was a little bit of water sitting in the sump. That was it. This was one of those things that we were fed. I'm going to say it. I'm not calling it false information. We were lied to try to get money. And that's a problem that we have. And that lie there, we were able to go down there and expose it.
Right.
And, you know, not only, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of citizens, business owners jumped in here, got on board with it, and the museum still stands. And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't been down there, you need to take it's worth going down there just to see the history.
It's Lexington's history. You need to go see it. And it's history. I mean, I think I love history. History is a very important thing. And if you want to see how how Lexington was made, how your ancestors lived, even I've seen some Civil War things up there. I mean, it goes way back.
Oh, yeah.
You need to go up there and look at it.
Definitely. And I'm going to just give a quick story. Another one we lost, Harry Scott.
Right.
There's a walk-in safe up there, and I never would have known this here. I didn't think it was that big of an issue, but Harry said it was. He came into work one morning, and there was a hole in the safe door, and he showed me the hole, and you can see it where they went back in and welded it back on, and sanded around it and smoothed it and painted over. But thieves broke in there, cut a hole in the safe door, got in there and stole a bunch of stamps. I think he said they got caught down in New Orleans or something.
I think that's where it was at. Stealing stamps.
It's like, for stealing stamps. It's crazy. But, you know, it's those stories. That's something, too, that bugs me around here, is so much of our history gets bulldozed down. They don't want to take care of anything. And, you know, and I'm going to give kudos. I'm going to give a shout-out. Clay Crook, Philip Renfro, these two guys just had a wealth of knowledge on our history, and they try to preserve it. But, you know, at some point in time frame, if we don't have somebody stepping into those roles, it gets lost.
Right.
And once it's lost, you can't get it back.
It's gone.
But, you know, and that tells me how easy it is for some people to sit there and say, well, yeah, we can close our museum down because we don't really care about our history. That don't sit well.
No, I agree. That museum is our Smithsonian of Henderson County.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's exactly what it is. There was something else we were going to talk about. I don't forgot because it was on the. Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, because we got a question mark here.
no.
And I'm probably, after this one here, we'll wrap it up. We might have to come back and do this again. Because have we hit all of your points?
No, there's one or two things I'm gonna cover before I'm done.
Okay. Well, I got one that I want to go back to because we've been asking this question on the of the candidates coming in, and this was another reason I really wanted to show you guys the this video because I have the video of it, of the conversation between Alderman Rhodes and Lexington Utilities Director Justin Roach. I'm assuming this is one of the things you still had to talk about.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
But go ahead.
That came out in the beginning part of the meeting, and we've got video of it. Now I was going to show the two video clips of that tonight, but Alderman Rhodes made a point of stating that last year during the budget cycle, in June of 2024,
I had the paper in my hand.
that they were told, the board was told that Lexington Utilities was in good financial position and they could afford to give raises. Okay? That's what they were told. Well, that paper that he had in his hand was actually dated from back in June of 2024.
Right.
This is coming from the state, from the Tennessee's Utilities Commission. It's a new board that's been created that stated that we were net negative.
Over $1 million.
Yeah, 1.182 million.
Something like that. Yep.
Well, and Alderman Rhodes want to know, why do we get bad information? Again, I'm going to say, why were they lied to?
I
Why
try
were-
to be nice.
Yeah, you are nice. I'm not
I
nice.
try to be nice.
But he kept asking, and he kept getting a runaround. He never got a direct question answered about where did you make this determination on? Who chose to say that we were good, and then to come to find out we were not good. Later in that meeting, this comes back around. And this here is what really, you brought it back up. Alderman Fred Ellis even stated in that meeting, yes, we were told that they were in good shape, and it wasn't true. So he even acknowledged in that meeting, and again, you can go see the video. I've got clips of it.
I'll give him kudos on that.
Yeah,
He did.
He stepped up and said, yeah, we got told that there was money there, and it wasn't.
Right.
And Alderman Rhodes still never got an answer to somebody's got to be held responsible there. To me, that's the department head's job. If you don't know what's going on with your money, you don't need to be in there running anything to do with money. And now everything that happens here is to do with money. So there's a problem there. And now this here I'm going to say about every alderman. I'm going to kick on your ass on this one too.
Go ahead. Yeah, it ain't like you ain't never done it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've argued before,
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you got to understand. When people come with questions and problems, I bring it to him, and we don't always agree, but we're still friends. I mean, it's just a matter of a disagreement.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. But there has been no accountability. When our auditor comes in and tells us that we're missing around about $1,600, it's not missing money. It's money that hasn't been put where it's supposed to be put.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you.
Was
there.
it $16.5 million?
I think it was 129 discrepancies for $16.5 million.
And there wasn't a damn thing done about it.
No. He said, and this, he said that never happened. He said one time he'd been doing it for 30-something years, and he said one time, Miss Sue Wood, who was brilliant woman, she had a discrepancy for $100 million. She just placed it in the wrong place. He said, easy to take care of. Easy to take care of. When Sue come to the meeting, because she was still there when I was there, that woman was smart. She knew how much money was in each account. She didn't carry a computer. Her computer was located right here on top of her shoulders. The woman was super smart. We didn't have them kind of problems. And the guy basically said that. We didn't have that kind of problem when Sue was here. He said, I had people who actually threatened to quit my firm over having to do this audit. He said, should I have turned it into the state, He said, maybe, but I didn't. But yeah, we had, I think it was 129 discrepancies for $16.5 million.
And that's insane.
It's unbelievable.
If I remember correctly, in the general fund alone, almost half of it was in the wrong places.
It was just and I'll say for all the aldermen that were sitting there, we were all sitting there with our jaws dropped. I mean, didn't know what to say.
But there was no accountability.
No. Well, the mayor said, well, you know, me and the CFO have to put our names down here to sign on it. You know, it's going to be better and all that.
Well, they have to. That's,
Yeah. Oh,
if
yeah.
you look at every audit, their
Yeah.
their names on it.
Yeah.
So they take responsibility. The city recorder and the mayor are the two that signs off on it. They take responsibility. So there's accountability right there. You've got somebody you can hold accountable because their signatures have got to go on it. If you look at every one of the audits, you'll see that. But nothing got done. Nobody was held accountable. And that's a problem. That is a serious problem that needs to be fixed.
We've had several problems like that. I call it a New York shell game, the way when money gets kind of moved around from this to that and the other. Gordon calls it voodoo math. It is what it is.
It happens quite often.
It happens quite often. You know, they want to give them 2% raises back in February, I believe.
Yeah.
They come 1 month and they got $32,000 extra. The next month they come, they got $132,000 extra. What?
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we find out that $132,000 extra money, that there was 2 vacancies
Correct.
that money was already budgeted to fill?
Correct. It hadn't been filled yet. Yep.
So they're going to use money to hire, that they're already budgeted to hire 2 people to give raises.
Yep.
Now my question is, did they hire the 2 people?
I have no idea.
And that's where the problem is every alderman should know what the hell's going on.
Well, I think
Damn mushroom.
I think that when the CFO was asked that night, he said, "Well, I've never seen a department head who didn't replace somebody." So yeah, they're planning on replacing them, I'm sure.
So they were going to use budgeted money for employees to give raises.
Yeah, and then hire somebody else.
I'm going to tell you what really killed me was when Gord brought up the voodoo math over the police cars.
Right? Yeah, the red cars. And
Now y'all had already budgeted $120,000, if I remember correctly, somewhere in there, 120, 130, somewhere in there, for 2 police cars. Okay, I remember that. Remember that there from during the budget cycle in 2024. Come around, they want to get more money shifted to buy police cars. But there was already money budgeted there. So you got 120 here and you're going to bring another 120 in and buy only 2 police cars.
and the $80,000
For the insurance.
for the insurance.
For the 2 cars that were wrecked, they weren't even going to replace those 2. They were just going to buy two new ones. They weren't going to replace the wrecked ones. So now you've got 120 here, 120 here, and then you just brought $80,000 in from insurance. And it only cost you 120. So where's $200,000 at? Where did that money go?
It's a shell game. It's a continuous shell game. You never know from one meeting to the next how much money the city actually has. You can't get a straight answer, or you might get an answer. It's your choice whether or not you want to believe it or not.
Well, you know, and I keep hearing about that there. Oh, go down to City Hall and get answers from there. You want me to tell you what? Last year we pulled 2 people pulled public records on employees, and we got 2 different lists, 2 completely different lists that did not match up as far as employees and salaries. That's the problem here is how can you go trust somebody when you can't get anything that's factual? When Gordon pulls out talking about voodoo math, when you're questioning about who approves, who told you to say that why did you tell us that you had good money and you're net negative? How can you, there's no trust. The trust is gone. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't trust anything with the city. I just don't. Because there's been so many lies. I just don't believe anything they have to say.
I wish I could convince you better, but I don't know how to do it.
You can't.
I can't.
Can you tell me that the laws have changed? I mean, it's, what else you got to go over?
Well, let me see. I just got a couple of things that I'm going to say here. I think I basically said them all. I have said in the past, and I still stand by this right here, that city government has outgrown its citizen tax base. And I said that, I think it was last year, I don't know. I got ambushed 2 years in a row. I got ambushed I call it ambushed. One year it was me and Jack Johnson got ambushed on the second reading of the tax. The next year it was me and Gordon got ambushed on the tax, on the budget. But, and of course I say trim the fat, and I got chastised for that. Man, did I hear that the next meeting. I got an alderman here that says we need to trim the fat. I heard it over and over. I'm sure you heard the same thing. But, it's just basically like being ambushed when you do, but the government has outgrown its citizens. You cannot keep taxing these people like this right here. They want to live too. And you just can't keep doing that. And another thing that I want to mention is, and some fault of this may be on all of us, but we voted on the charter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We voted on the charter. We voted to let department heads, they didn't have to live in the city anymore. They could be out in the county.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be in Henderson County for you to be a department head, but you didn't have to live in the city anymore. Now the police, they can live, I don't know how far they can live. They can live they don't have to live in the county on hunting. Pretty sure.
Well, according to police chief, they are.
Well,
they do.
They may be. So, but anyway, we voted on them two things. When that charter come back, and then it had to go to the assembly the first of the year, and then when that charter comes back, we were told we were voting on this, these two changes that we did. Come to find out, them two went through. Plus, earlier that year, I think it was the same year, the mayor said, "Well, maybe y'all need to make me a part-time mayor." And make the CFO the city manager.
Yeah.
Well, ain't nobody want that. We don't want that.
No. You have to change the style of government you are.
Yes. And nobody wanted that. Well, somehow this charter got changed around a little bit.
Yep.
And when it come back, and nobody knows, man, they slid that through there. What are you talking about? They slid that through there. Well, the guy from MTAS comes down, and Gordon put that man on the spot. He asked him over and over. He asked him 3 or 4 times. We voted to let the policemen and department heads not have to live in the city, live out of the county, whatever. Who put this in here that give the power to the CFO to basically be over all the departments? The guy kind of tiptoes around it, and Gordon said, "I ask you who?" And he looked right at the mayor and said, "The mayor." That wasn't something we voted on.
No.
And that's something that really needs to be changed, because that right there is one of the reasons that we lost probably the best department head that we had in this city was Jeff Graves, right there.
Agreed. Agreed. I ain't gonna argue with you on that one. And that's a problem. Now, and again, I hold the alderman accountable, and I'm going to tell you the reason being. Before the way a charter change has to happen is it has to go up to the state. The state legislature votes on it. Then it comes back to the board, and the aldermen have to vote to ratify it before it ever makes the change ever comes. So 2 steps it missed. When the email went to the alderman with the draft that was going to be sent to the state, didn't get read. When it got to the state and got sent back, and the state did the change that was sent to them, because whatever that the mayor decided to send up there is what got sent up there, and that we know now is what MTAS has told us is this was the mayor's doing.
That's what he said right there
That's
in the
what
meeting.
he said in the meeting. This was the mayor's doing, and when it came back, the aldermen still didn't read it, and they just voted on it. Now, see, this here is where the trust factor comes in, and this is why I say there's nothing you can do to get me to trust the government.
I agree.
Because this here, again, was another fact of you guys trusted the mayor, the mayor and the city recorder would give you factual information.
You would hope they would.
Right. But, but at the end of the day, I mean, they did wrong, but you guys, you didn't provide the oversight that should have been there.
It can be changed.
It can be changed.
But we sure need
But
to
can't
vote.
change when you got 4-3, though.
It can't change when we're the underdogs on the 4-3 card.
That's it. All right, I got a couple of questions. I'm gonna go through here right quick. Anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I guess that's about it.
All right, we're gonna try to close it. We're an hour and a half into this here, but man, I've enjoyed it.
I've had a good time.
Let's get up in here and get into some of these questions here. I'm gonna see what I got down here. Yeah, you're right, Jim. That's exactly why people are afraid to speak up. Jimmy White, hey, Alderman Jimmy White has chimed in here. Please talk about Jimmy White and Roger. Now, I'm assuming Jimmy is talking about what happened on Monday night. As I was telling you, Roger was grandstanding, and Griggs got in on that there. Sandra got in on it. Fred got in on it. I'm assuming, I think Gabe, I don't know if I remember hearing him or not.
Yeah, I think he had a little something to say. He always does.
Jimmy White, though, Jimmy won't have none of it. Because the implication there was that people on the board
That's what he said.
yeah, that's what he said. People on the board was,
And in the audience.
yeah, in the audience.
And running for office.
And all you guys out here watching us. They're talking about that we're giving false information. You know what I mean? The videos just don't lie. I mean, it just don't. But when he got up there, Jimmy kind of gave him hell. Like, you know what? Are you saying I'm the one who's saying this? Well, no. He's like, well, who are you talking about? Well, I said what I said.
Jimmy said there's 6 of us sitting
Yeah.
at this table. Go around.
Yeah, and he didn't want to go around and talk about it. I said what I said. So,
And I said, I don't have a problem with anybody as long as they give me accurate information when I ask them a question.
well, guess what? You in the wrong place to get it.
I know. As long as it's 4-3.
So, yeah, kudos Jimmy White there, Alderman Jimmy White. Appreciate that there, Jimmy. Sorry I didn't catch you here, man. It's been going. It's been we just kind of been laying into it tonight. All right, kept in the dark and fed fungi.
Fun guy. I'm a wild and crazy fun guy.
Oh, here we go. It's a good one here. If only we had more aldermen just like this man, a man who truly understands his job and represents the view of the citizens. Thank you, Tim Rhodes.
I appreciate that.
Austin Lindsay.
I appreciate that.
And I like Austin because he's got the best damn dog in the world.
I don't know him, but I
You
appreciate that.
need to meet Fitz. All righty. I remember an alderman asking department heads for a wish list. He should have asked the taxpayers for their wish list. That's an excellent point. That is a very excellent point. There needs to be more communication, and I'm hoping that, I would love to see more aldermen and commissioners, politicians, period, elected representatives should be, come up here and join us. Come have a conversation. You guys are able to sit up here and talk and ask questions.
Come join the party.
Yeah, come join the party, man. Heck, it's an open invitation. Anybody wants to come. Clay Crook, I've seen you've asked this a couple times. I'm just now getting to you. Does the city have any kind of long-term debt service plan?
They do. I'm not aware of what it is. We just keep digging into debt. That way he wants to know.
That's really... Clay, what you would be told to do is to go down to City Hall to get this information. And I'm just going to say it. I don't believe you get factual information down there on City Hall. Do they have any long-term debt service plan? I've never heard anything in a meeting. Have you ever heard anything in a meeting?
No.
I just, if it's there, it's never been talked about. And I'm going to say this here. I'm going to go back to the 5-year plan of Lexington Utilities, the reason they raised the rates. I'm going to give kudos to Fred Ellis on this one here. Fred pushed and asked if the citizens want to see what the 5-year plan was, and instead of saying, yeah, I'll get it for you, Well, now you got to know, we know that things happen and things change. You know, the 5 year plan can change. So we don't really have a 5 year plan. We got this skeleton that at any point in time we can change it and say, well, we don't want to do that there. Kind of like when you take in the purchase policy. If you need to go get a $200,000 a new piece of truck because it's an emergency, well, go ahead and spend the $200,000 according to Sandra Wood.
That's what they try to get through.
And you actually asked a very good question. Well, how are you going to pay for it?
Right.
Where's the money coming from?
Right.
I mean, when you can just spend people's money like it's nothing, it's crazy.
That was given authority to a department head, the mayor, and the CFO. If they deemed it an emergency,
Yeah.
they didn't have a limit. They could just go out there and just buy whatever.
And that took away the authority from the board.
Yep, sure did. You can't spend your way out of debt.
No, you cannot. Donna Ross, Jeff Graves is one of the best city employees the city has ever had.
Absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, Candy Davis. And just let me go back here. Donna Ross running position 4 alderman. Candy Davis running position 4 alderman. It's time to end that 4-people majority.
And
And
Jeannie,
you know, tell you what, yeah,
she's in there too. All of them.
Florence, you know, I get it. I mean, I get it. I'm taking my investment money away from Lexington and going to Parsons because of the way the city is not being run. You know, I'm in agreement with you. You know, as a business owner, yeah, there are some serious issues. I'm paying $63.50 a month for trash, and I don't have any choice. I have to have it if I want water in my shop. And you know what? I may have 4 bags a month. 4 just regular kitchen trash bags. It's crazy.
Can you imagine what it would look like, though, if everybody up and down this street put their trash cans out front?
Boy, that would be ugly. That's the reason. That's the reason I don't have mine out there.
It'd be ugly.
I don't want my city to look like crap with
Well,
a
it
bunch of
would.
those ugly big trash cans, those
It
cans.
certainly would if you put them all out. If everybody put them out there.
And you know what, tell you what's really bad? They don't take, and I don't think they have anything that picks up those big trash cans and empties them. When they come through here, everything is on. We used to have one when we were over there by Dollar General, on that side of the block, and it sucked. Everything had to be in bags. The problem is you get pedestrians coming by, dumping stuff in there. I mean, we'd have gum and candy and all kind of stuff. And about every couple of months, I'd have to take the thing home to clean it out from all that stuff because it's drawing ants and it's drawing critters. So I'd have to take the thing home. I mean, it was a nightmare. But they don't do anything to empty anything. And then, and the trash cans, you can't secure them. And there's just not enough trash cans around here.
And here's another thing that I brought up before in meetings, and I heard Gordon bring it up on his podcast. Spending $360,000 a year on recycling.
Yeah.
That would do 3 miles of street. Do our streets need a little repaving?
Hell yeah, it does. Hold on a second. No, we got some parking lots somewhere that need to be repaved, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's something.
That's another thing we can get to. We're going to have to do this another time. Jerry McPeak, how do I know who to vote for if you have no clue about who is running? You know, that's a good question because a lot of people don't know who is running and what they stand for. One of the things that I could tell you to do is we've got a lot of videos up here in that YouTube channel. Take a look at it, man. You can go in here and you can see how people vote. I tell you something else that's real easy to do. Go down to City Hall and make a public records request, and you can request the minutes from, say, the last 4 years if you want to. And then you can go in there and you can see who voted for what. And that will help give you an idea. But the videos will provide you a lot more in-depth understanding of it. And, you know, as far as who is running in each one, I can tell you right now. For city mayor, you've got Andy Anderson and Gordon Wildridge. For alderman position 4, you have Fred Ellis, Jack Johnson, Donna Ross, and Candy Davis. Alderman position 5 has Jimmy White, Jeff Griggs, and Patrick Cherry. Alderman position 6 has Blake Mitchell, Chip Clark, and Ernest Ray Thomas Jr. So those are the ones who are running. You know, you can take a look at their Facebook pages. A lot of them will have information and where they stand. You can see who they align with, and then you figure out there if that's the person that you want or not. So that's the best way to go about it.
And don't let somebody reinvent themselves, or watch closely, because some of these people have real close ties to the four, and they've been put in there by them, is all I'm gonna say. So watch real close on that right there too. This four needs to be flipped around. I made a statement at a board meeting one night. This whole board needs to be flipped upside down.
Yeah,
I know
you remember that.
I wasn't popular with that statement, but it is what it is.
That's who is the CFO we were referring to? The CFO, I'm going to tell you right now, the actual, when you go back in here and look at Tennessee law, because of this charter change that's been talked about here, that term CFO has come out there. It's really is the title is city recorder. That's the way our system is set up. We're our mayor board, and the way it works is it's what they call Board Strong Mayor Week. That's how our government's set up. When you're dealing with municipality, there's 3 ways that you can set it up, or 4 ways. There's 4 ways you can set it up, I believe. I'd have to go back through Tennessee Code Annotated to look state law, but the CFO is actually is the city recorder is Cody Wood. All right. Ba, 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 ba. Alrighty, I think we got quite a bit answered here. Boy, we've been at this thing for an hour and 41 minutes. I'm sorry to keep you guys so late on this one here. It's
Looks like everybody's hanging on.
well, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the numbers.
They've been enjoying it.
Yeah, you know, and that's, you know, we can actually see how many people. Hell, we've got 75 right this moment. I can't thank you guys enough for watching this. You know, I've enjoyed everybody I've had on, but I'm going to say this here: this is by far this has been the best one. You guys got a lot more in depth, but what you got was you got it straight from the horse's mouth. I mean, Tim is a sitting alderman. He is your representative right now. And I'm going to tell you one thing Tim is not doing. He ain't asking for your vote because he's not up for re-election. So, you know, he doesn't have anything to gain by this here other than trying to make sure that what's best in your best interest that he's doing to take care of it. And I can't say enough how important that is. And I'm hoping we get to do this again. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we haven't covered. And some stuff we just kind of scratched the surface on.
Right.
But we're gonna shut this thing here down. Again, guys, thank you for watching. We've got Blake Mitchell coming up Monday, and actually Blake Mitchell, Patrick Cherry, and Candy Davis will be here next Thursday. So the 3 of them are actually going to come in at one time. And then I think right now we've got scheduled Jack Johnson on the 18th, and Jimmy is on the 20. Jimmy White is on the 21st. I believe 21st, I think, is Thursday. So right now that's who we've got scheduled up. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to join. If not, I'll take some nights off. Are you going to come up again?
No, I want to say one more thing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let Tim finish off with this.
We may be here till midnight. At the last meeting, and there's a reason I done this right here, I made a motion because the city's always been set up that the citizens couldn't talk until the end of a meeting. That's wrong. If we're up there dealing with something that concerns you, you should have a voice before the vote was ever made. You should. I enjoy listening to the people. I want to hear their story. I want to hear it. I've heard people say, "Oh no, we're going to have to listen to that again."
Yeah.
I want to hear the story. I want to hear what they got to say, and they need to speak before we ever vote, not after, because after we vote, it's done. It's done.
That's it. Yeah.
But I did get that motion through. Thank goodness. Because I couldn't see anybody voting against it. Not that would be dumb.
Yeah. One other thing too, I want to share with you guys. I want to ask of you guys. Doesn't take but a second. I understand that some of you guys are worried about retaliation. I get it. It's a very real reality. Real reality. Damn, that's redundant as hell. Um, it's a problem that we face here that shouldn't be. It should never be that way. This is not how America should be. But the share button. When this video ends, there's going to be a share button down on there. Click that share button. You know, when you help spread the word. I've had a lot of people tell me that they weren't aware of the page. Blake Mitchell. Monday night, a lady got up and talked about her problems that she was having with city sewer and with the drainage. Well, Blake Mitchell actually talked to her, and he went out to her house the next day, and he sent me some pictures. One of the pictures is there's I don't know if it's a clean out or manhole space down there. I mean, you can probably get a small man, but it's like a clean out for sewer that's sitting right up on the front part of her yard. And it's got a heavy steel lid. Well, this lid is not sitting flush on it. It's off to one side, and there's toilet paper sitting on top of the lid.
Nasty.
And Blake said he could smell the sewer coming from there. And she also had a storm drainage. You know where you got the big metal grates across there and all the water runs down there? Well, Blake looked at that too. Just covered with debris, limbs, and all kind of stuff. I mean, it was just covered up. Her, the little bit of, she had some trash and the culvert going under her driveway. But, and that one there I ain't going to hit as much, but because, as soon as I say something about that, oh, well, that's her responsibility. I don't care about that there. A sewer lid being off, that's a very dangerous thing. Very dangerous thing if it's not sitting like it should. And number two, that storm drainage should have been cleaned out. This is the lack of maintenance that happens around here. So this woman did not know about the page, and now she's joined up. She's paying attention to what's going on. This is what happens. So spread the word. Hit that share button. Tomorrow morning when y'all stand around the water cooler or the coffee pot at work, have a conversation about it. Talk about the great job Tim did. And let things, let people know. That's word of mouth is by far the best advertisement. And that's how we can start getting things fixed when more people know about it and more people take a stand.
Tell your friends.
At the end of the day, there's a hell of a lot more of us than there are them. Guys, have a great night. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you Monday.